Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nisa. I think you already know that already, like because I submitted my video last week. So basically in this video, I would like to explain my understanding when it comes to the history of learning languages from the 1950s to 1980s, 70s. Um, so basically, I'm going to explain briefly about the things that I read so far. Um, and first of all, let me explain that there's something called behaviorism, and also constructive analysis. So basically, let me explain the behaviorism first. So basically, behaviorism is when something that you learned. No. Like basically when you learn a new language, it's basically going to build a new habit to you, like a new habit, like for example, like not a new habit, more like making a new habit, as like for example when you learn a new, like when you learn your own language or like your mother tongue, you basically develop this habit, which can be counted as repetitive, like when your parents teach your own language when you were still a kid, like by teaching it in a repetitive way. For example, we can maybe count like this bottle right here. You show this bottle to a student kid that you want to teach language, right? Chris? Like for example, bottle. So you tell it to the kid that this called as bottle, repetitively until they remember or memorize the word of this thing, and it can be counted as in conversation. Like you want to engage a conversation with someone from other countries, and they will say the word back to you, and you say something back, which maybe the word that you say to them can be make them understand what you're saying, and you realize, oh, they understand what I'm saying, and because of that, you use that same sentence to other people, like other new people, which can be counted as repetitive, and it can be called as like maybe predict, like it can be easily predicted, which is not always a good thing. It can be bring as a new bad habit, which is pretty much a fatal mistakes for those who wants to learn a new language, especially for young kids when you want to teach them English, which can be called as constructive analysis, um, um, which is like teachers always think that teaching the young ages, like hello, and then you say hello back, and etc. And if you're wrong, they will repeat the word itself until it's correct, which is pretty much fatal mistakes, which is why Chomsky criticized these methods, because like Chomsky basically explained that um, when it comes to children, they tend to make a new rules. The way that they're learning a new language is not by memorizing, but it's making their own rules, like a new grammar rules. Like for example, if you say broke, they will say bricked. There's an ed at the end, which is not a real word, I think, maybe. Um, so it can be proven that teaching children by doing memorizing is not a good thing, but teaching them grammar rules in general might be better. Um, which is why we can move to behaviorism, like constructive to error language, because in error language it's basically like pointing the mistakes that you did, especially when you're explaining a new language to kids, and you're realizing that, oh, maybe kids cannot be able to to learn a new languages. No, 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 that's not what I'm saying. Maybe kids, maybe it's difficult for kids to be able to um, learn a new language by repeating it, but teaching them grammar rules, especially to people the same age as us, grammar rules in general can be pretty convenient to them, which is can be able to break their habits as well. They're moving to error languages. It's also called like innate language ability. No, I don't think so, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think I kind of forgot. But like it can be counted as that, I guess. Um, there's also let there's also like certain I think this topic is pretty much interesting because for me, as a person who speak English as their second language, not second language, maybe like foreign language, because I learned English when I was like in middle school by myself on the internet, and I think it's pretty much safe to say that learning new language, especially English, on the internet is more convenient than being taught by teachers because they tend to be more repetitive than actually teaching us a new language. Um, Also, for someone who really interested in English language as a whole, I think this is also like a pretty convenient thing to learn. But yeah, because I tend to have my habits as well. Like for example, stuttering and say and I tend to go blank every time I cannot be able to respond to someone, especially those who speak in English. And I think it's because like I tend to speak English more Indonesian. I think I also find it more difficult to speak in Indonesian these days. Because of that habits in general actually, which is I think it's kind of like a shame for me to notice that a bunch of English teachers tend to teach their students in repetitive way. It's not pretty convenient in general. I think it's just it will I guess affect their learning habits because like learning a new language is not basically learning a new skills, like not learning an instrument, not learning a piano, or not like learning instruments in general. Learning language is different when it comes to learning skills. Okay, I think that's all for me. If there's any mistake, please do point it out. And I think it's just like the understanding of what I have so far about the history of learning a language in general. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.